Is your communication stuck in the same old cycle? Misunderstandings, tension, or just silence? The Communication Reset is your step-by-step program to breaking through and building a new way to talk, listen, and connect. Start today at oneextraordinarymarriage.com/reset.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Make another smart choice with Auto Quote Explorer to compare rates from multiple car insurance companies all at once. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
From Estero, Florida, this is a One Extraordinary Marriage show, where being busy is overdone, romancing is fun, and scheduling sex has taken the guesswork out of wondering when you're going to get some. Creators of the 6 Pillars of Intimacy, I'm Tony DiLorenzo, your co-host, along with my beautiful wife, Elisa. From coast to coast and around the world, thank you for joining us. It's time to talk sex, love, and commitment. Give us a call or text us on the Hug Hotline at 858-876-5663 or send us an email to hugs@oneextraordinarymarriage.com. In today's episode, we're counting down the 6 Pillars of Intimacy as we reflect on the year that has been and the year to come.
And there's an anonymous quote that says, "Where you are a year from now is a reflection of the choices you make today." And I think as we reflect on the 6 pillars and think about their influence in our lives and the framework that they've become, there are a lot of choices that we have made in regard to them and that we will make in regard to them. We're going to be discussing that in today's episode. But we start every episode of the One Extraordinary Marriage show with a hug. And a hug is really our opportunity to celebrate what you, the one family, those of you that are working to make your marriages extraordinary, where you're being intentional, where you're taking action. And it's actually, I know for so many, when we meet you in person, it's actually the highlight of the episode for you. And so this hug came from a post that was in the One Family private Facebook group, and it was accompanied with a picture of this couple enjoying their time. And the husband says, "My wife surprised me with a date night at the farm after burning brush piles all day. A wiener roast and s'mores. I love her so much." And it was just this beautiful, simple, I mean, it was pictures of the hot dogs and the fire and whatnot. But what I loved about it was just the simplicity of the actions that we can take. You know, when I wrote the 6 Pillars of Intimacy, there was a section in every pillar of intimacy that talked about what can I do. And I love just the emphasis on that she knew he'd been out working all day. And so she surprised him with just a dinner out there. And it's just really is those little things that make such a difference in marriage.
Yeah. And as we step into the last episode of this year,
holy cow,
Elisa and I thought it would be fun to do a countdown of the 6 Pillars of Intimacy and look at where we've been, what have we done this year around our 6 Pillars of Intimacy and discuss it with you guys in the hope that you are going to be intentional in the next few days, next week or so, and do the same thing. Because we believe that if we look at those 6 Pillars of Intimacy, those are our foundation. That is the framework we live by here for our own marriage, and I know for many of you. And yet if we don't look at them, sometimes looking back, but also looking forward, we can get a little lost in going like, did we really make a difference in our marriage this year? Are we really creating that extraordinary marriage we desire? And I really want to focus in on this. What Elisa and I are going to share may not be what you come up with. And that is totally okay. One of the things I think for us over this past year or two, even more, maybe even more now, we are your guides. We are not the ones that you look to and go, I want to be Tony and Elisa. We are here on this marriage journey just like you. We use the 6 Pillars of Intimacy framework just like you. So if your marriage doesn't look like ours, honestly, kudos. I don't think ours should look like anybody else's who's on social media or on TV or on radio or wherever. We are living, breathing human beings made by the one and only Lord and Savior of our world and God who created us. And we're different. And so we're going to go through this and go, all right, let's count down. And we're going to do a countdown from 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to flip this around so that you understand we are going to start with sexual intimacy. And for those of you who know the 6 pillars, sexual intimacy is that final pillar.
Well, it's usually the one, I won't say final. It's usually the one we talk about last.
Last.
And there is a reason for that. And again, some of the reason I'm giving a little bit of the backstory to the 6 pillars of intimacy is because you may be brand new to listening to this show and be like, okay, why are they talking about counting down and forwards and backwards and things like that? Well, when I wrote the 6 pillars of intimacy, I intentionally put sexual intimacy at the end because so many people, when they hear the word intimacy, immediately think of sex. And what I wanted to do was to create this framework that would also discuss sexual intimacy, but in ahead of that, there would be this discussion of all of these other pillars, the emotional, physical, financial, spiritual, recreational, and then sexual. So like Tony said, and it was really fun as we were even discussing this episode, because he kept saying, let's count down from 6. And I'm like, well, like I'm scratching my head thinking, babe, most people count down from 3. It's either 10, 10, 9, 8, or 3, 2, 1. And so he keeps throwing out 6. And I go, are we doing the 6 pillars? And he's like, well, of course. And then I said, are we going to flip them on their head and start with sexual? And he got this little glint in his eye, this little sparkle. And he was like, let's do it. So
let's start it.
Sexual intimacy,
So
2025.
Let's look back. How do you, I think the one way we can look at is what do we feel like we did well? And I think I'd rather stick on what we did well than looking at what we could do better.
Okay.
I mean, just because we're looking back, I think
we have to have some discussion of the reality of what the year was.
And that will probably come into, was it lacking? Did we skin our knee at time? Did we miss? And yet I would like for us to try to stay more on the, what did we do well side?
My eternal optimist that I am married to. Let's not get mired down. I love it. And you guys probably do too, in all honesty.
I don't want to find all the ways that we messed up over the year. I want to find out what did we do well over the year. So let's start with sexual intimacy, and then we're going to go backwards on, and when I say backwards, it's
reverse order
of how we typically lay out the 6 pillars of intimacy. So let's start with sexual.
Let's start with sexual.
What I found good this year and what I found interesting this year was one of those years where I feel like the passion, the intensity of our lovemaking sessions were heightened. There's a lot of quality in our lovemaking time. I do feel like we were sort of on our intimacy lifestyle for the most part, which I feel like we did okay. And I'm giving us a good thing on that. That's a thumbs up.
Well, because I do track. And so, yes. Yes. And the tracking thing, that is actually like Tony has generally been the higher desire. And so for me, I chose to track. That was not Tony's like, hey, you've got to make sure we're, hitting the intimacy lifestyle. Like it was a choice I made this year because I knew, just when it comes to the sexual intimacy, one of the things that, and we've talked about it on this show, is that I am in perimenopause. And so even with hormone replacement, I do have fluctuations and that type of thing. And so my spontaneous desire has been just in the tank this whole year. And so keeping track was a way for me to go, okay, am I showing up? I think with that, just even in the last month, one of the things that I feel was a huge win, only in December, but we take our wins where we can find them. Back probably in November, I had offhandedly said something to Tony. I'm like, yeah, every once in a while I think about having sex, but like it's not the right time or whatever. And Tony's like, could you please tell me? Could you let me know? Like, even if we can't do anything in that moment, can you just tell me that you've had this spontaneous thought that like somehow miraculously floated through your head? So that did happen a couple of times in December. And I will say, I think that was probably a good thing for us that I actually shared it with you.
I do. It allowed us to go, oh, okay, let's engage in that, especially without the kids around or something. Like, let's figure that out. I am going to put, for some of the folks may not even know what the intimacy lifestyle is or what we've done.
We've said it a couple times.
Yes. We have a free planner called the Intimacy Lifestyle Planner. I'm going to put it here in the episode links for you. So if it's something that you would like, go grab it. Start it. What it is, just real basic. It's how you set up having sex on a regular basis, week to week, month to month, year to year. That's basically what it is. It's scheduling sex would be how it is, but you're not planning like on Tuesday at 1:05 p.m. we're having sex. There's more leeway to that, but you're having the discussion. So I'll put that up in the episode notes. All right, let's go to recreational intimacy.
So I feel like this year we did a number of new things. We got out boating. You actually captained a boat a number of times, so that was really good. I will say, since having moved to Southwest Florida, the beaches here are different. We love our beaches in Southwest Florida, but the access to them is way different than it was in San Diego.
Very different.
And so our beach walk and talks
have diminished.
Kind of disappeared.
True.
Like and that's not a negative. That's fact. And so with that, we've had to get creative. I do feel like we explored some new places this year. Like going to St. Augustine. We've had some great travel trips where we've gotten out and done things. And even in our move from Naples to Estero, just getting out and exploring different little areas in and around where we're at, and heading north up into, like the Tampa, Fort Myers, Tampa, like even that trip that we took, just to go up there.
Yes. I think the bigger stuff we've done very well this year. I think the little stuff has diminished this year. And so
Mr. Positive over there.
No, I'm saying I'm just saying
it's all good. It's all good.
Part of the I'm saying
I'm
like
giving you a hard time.
The card games have diminished. Walk and talks have not been as regular because that beach access, like we said. And when we see beach access, when we lived in San Diego, where we lived in Penasquitos, Rancho Penasquitos area, we could be to Torrey Pines State Beach in like 10, 15 minutes. No big deal. Free parking, no big, like easy access, nothing. Here, it's like, now our beaches here, I would say, are 100 times better.
They're like
white
beautiful,
sandy beaches, warm water, you name it. Southwest Florida is wonderful. The other side of it, where we live, it's 30 minutes pretty much to any beach we want to go to. Parking is not great at some of these. Some of them, I mean, you're always having to pay to park, which, hey, if you're visiting here, it's no big deal. You pay once and, you pay $10 for the day that you're hanging out at the beach. But if you're doing that every weekend, like we are,
like we used
to. So, yeah, that hasn't been great. But recreational intimacy, I do think, like, we've gone on drives. We've gone exploring a little bit more. We've done, yeah.
Well, that felt anticlimactic. We've done, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and we live in our community, and we have a beautiful community pool.
Yes.
And I find myself wanting to go, and you're not wanting to go.
I have been going more lately.
Yes.
I have been saying yes more.
Yes. So I'm just saying, I think we're still like working through the recreational intimacy. What does that look like in this season? We're shifting from what we used to do all the time, like doing, to now it's something different. We did buy a beautiful outdoor, patio set with a fire pit. Haven't used it yet, and it's winter, and we better use it before the summer hits because we're not going to use it in the summer. Right. So I think we got to I think sometimes we just get in our all right, yep. It's fall, like it's football season and blah, blah, blah. So overall, I think it's been great. On the big stuff, on the smaller stuff, I think we still sort of need to figure out our way.
And I think, one of the other things too, if you're brand new here, so we have 2 young adult children that share our home. And so there's also just shifting dynamics with the fact that we are in our early 50s, but they're still around, and so just navigating some of that and who's doing what and with whom and when and all of those different types of things. We're in a bit of a state of flux still, having only been in Florida for about 1.5 years now. Yep.
All right. Let's go to spiritual intimacy, and then we'll go finish up the last 3.
Okay.
So number 4, spiritual intimacy.
I know for me, in fact, it's so there's probably a little bit of irony about the fact that we're recording this today. I know that 2025 was a very spiritually dry season for me. It was, I've been more spiritually disconnected. And I was on a prayer walk this morning, just having this conversation with God and just being like, you know what? I've been really, really disconnected and just really like dry. And I'd actually said that to somebody probably about 2 or 3 months ago. And just this recognition of it. And, it's not one of those things you can force your way out of. it's like I've had spiritually dry seasons in my life. And it's just the recognition of it. Like I can see the glimmer on the other side, but I've just been really kind of showing up, but checked out, I think is probably how I would describe this year for me.
Showing up where?
Like I'm in church, I'm doing Bible studies, things like that. But I've just, this has been more going through the motions year.
Yeah. Interesting. I think we need to, and I've said this before, we need to pull out our devotional that we recently got when we went to our church marriage night. We got that devotional, and I think we just need to sit down in the evening before we do our own stuff and read it and jump into it together. But I can understand if you're feeling spiritual dry, it's sort of like, that's another thing I really don't need to put myself through when I'm just walking through the motions. So that's understandable. Some things, though, that I feel like we have done well this year is we've made sure to connect and be in a new church here, which is not easy. Like we got into it. We were there. We have attended a community group when we're in town and not traveling and everything, but we've gotten to know people there, which I feel like has been a strength. We, as a family, are praying a little bit more together. Like there are these moments where Elise and I are just about to go through our way, and one of the children, mainly our youngest, will be like, "Hey, let's pray." It's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, like let's do that."
Well, and Alex has even prayed a couple times this year.
Yep, our oldest, and so I think we have served together in some different ways this year that we typically do not and have not done, and so I think we have had a really good year, and I think. When it comes to our spiritual intimacy, it's one that we talk about a lot here at One Extraordinary Marriage. It's one that's individualized, and how do you bring it together? Some of you do very well with this. Others of us sometimes struggle with it. You know what I mean? And Elise and I have been in those places where we're together and feeling really strong in this pillar, and other times when it feels like we're a little shakier and there's some cracks in it.
Well, and I think too, even though I've had these months where it's more just kind of going through the motions, like I haven't stopped going to church.
Right.
And I like, even when I was in my Bible study, which I really enjoyed, and it was probably exactly what I needed at the time. It was like, I'm going to stay connected and stay plugged in. And I think, just even as you and I are having this conversation, it's what do you choose to do in any of the pillars? When you're in that place where you're like, I feel a little off, or I'm not quite there, it's saying, okay, how do I stay connected? What is my commitment level to working through the process, not just being like, you know what, I'm done. I'm done. And so I think, it just kind of highlights that and that type of action. Well, that was the first three. We're going to do the final three pillars of intimacy after this break.
This episode is brought to you by... Oops. I've got a box of Cheez-It crackers staring at me, and I just wanted that irresistible cheesy crunch. Sorry, that was a total snacksident. What was I supposed to be talking about? So salty, so crunchy, so cheesy. Whoops, lost my train of thought. I've heard of brain freeze, but brain cheese? I'll just have one more Cheez-It cracker, and then I'll get back to it.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
We're back, and we've been counting down and reflecting on the 6 pillars of intimacy in our own marriage and what this has looked like. And so we've done sexual, recreational, and spiritual. Number 3, financial.
Financial intimacy. Man, this was a year of big wins. I feel like, we were able to pull everything together to buy our home. That was huge. We've had to weather both children being at home and staying afloat and staying ahead of the game. And I feel like we are. I'm not going to say we're, killing it and stuffing a bunch of money away for future, but we're at least staying afloat and moving ahead, which I feel like in the economics of our world and what's happened in the country, I feel like we're strong here. It's something we still talk about. We still are aware of it. Sometimes we falter. It's part of it. You know, you and I have been together 29 years. And so we've been through this a lot. And I think, you know, some of the things for us is we've been in the financial pillar for us. It's really interesting because you and I take on different roles when it comes to financial intimacy. And what I have found really interesting this year is like, hey, this needs to, like, something will get brought up. And say it's just insurances. And it's very clear. It's like, all right, Tony, like, that's you. So I'll send out emails. I'll make phone calls. And then if it's an area of, I'm trying to think on your side.
What's more the day-to-day? Like, where can we tighten up and that type of thing? Like, what does that look like? And
even look at making sure that the bills are getting paid on time from a personal standpoint. Like, you handle all of that. And so we have this really interesting ebb and flow when it comes to this.
Yeah, more short-term and long-term, and what does that look like? And
yeah, short-term and long-term, that would be it.
You know, and working through that. And this has been a year where, you know, having both children, Abby started college, we've got Alex moving back in, moves, all of this different kind of stuff. There were a lot of financial and even buying a house.
Well, and any of you who know, when there are a couple things that just drain you in your financial intimacy. One, when you make big moves. So we did that last year. So you plan on, okay, it's going to be this much. And
it's not.
And it's funny enough, I talked to so many of my friends who've moved away from California. Most of them, to a T, are like, oh, it was actually more than I expected.
Plan on double.
Yeah.
Just plan on double.
And we are there. And so we did that last year. And then to come back to be able to save, pull things together, jump into a home. And then for those of you who've bought a home and know what it's like, some of you are fixer-uppers and you know what it's like, and we're not anywhere near that. But you still walk into a home and you want to make it your own. You want to do painting. You want to do this. You want to do that. There are expenses that get added on.
Yeah.
And so I think we've done
navigating
well and navigated it well. I'm just saying at the end of the day, this wasn't the year of like, ooh, we just socked away some big cash for,
lots of zeros. Not happening.
For future, retirement type stuff, which you and I have talked about. Like, I think even financial intimacy, though, becomes that discussion of, life insurance, will, trust. We've talked about that this year a lot because of the moves and all of these things. The discussion of retirement, do we want to do it? If we do it, what's that look like? Boom, 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 boom. But I think it's been a strong year, not an extraordinary year. Let's just put it that way.
And that's an interesting way to look at things and be able to even associate or evaluate them. Strength over extraordinary, what that looks like for the two of you. Pillar number 2, physical intimacy. I'm going to say a good year. I'm going to say, oh, that was like kind of a little curious face.
I thought we got better as the year went on.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Oh, okay.
Like, and that's navigating, again, having 2 young adults live with us, right? One of whom takes up a lot of room on a couch. And he's very affectionate with his mom. And so navigating, like, where do I, like our couch, we have a
sectional,
right facing sectional with the chaise on the side, right side. And so I mean, you guys that have been around for a while, you know that when we lived in our house in San Diego, like, I would have to walk into the living room, and I got to a point where I'm like, okay, don't sit in the chaise that's off to the side, sit next to Tony. I am still having this conversation with myself when I walk into the living room, because I have to look and go, okay, where's Tony? Where's Alex? Where am I sitting that actually puts me in closer proximity to Tony and more connection with Tony? And that's, like, I will tell you, this is a conscious thought because there are people around. Right. And I have to remember, and not I have to, I choose to remember that Tony is my husband, and both of our kids need to see that their dad is the priority. And so it's a conscious decision that I do.
Mm-hmm. It's gotten better. It's always a work in progress. And that's a whole thing for many of you. You guys understand that from littles to bigs. I mean, you guys understand this. I will say, though, I think we got stronger in our physical intimacy, getting back to the naked-ish cuddling in bed, not always wearing clothing. I think we're getting
Okay. Naked-ish just because I don't like to have my shoulders uncovered. So I typically have a shirt on. I'm like naked-ish. That's a funny word.
But getting back into that I think dropped off last year a lot, just because of perimenopause, the whole hot flashes, temperature. I think it's evened out a little bit more this year, which has allowed us to be more close and connected. And I think that will continue to strengthen. We'll continue to pay attention to that. How are we making that happen? We still make sure to take showers together. So that is a time and a place where we are very physical, connecting with one another, touching one another.
A lot of hand holding when we walk around. And I'd actually be curious, have you noticed an increase like when we're in the car?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I know it's there, but I think more times than not, again, that dang phone just gets in the way of that connection in the car, personally. Because we're talking and then inevitably it goes to, oh, well, let me go look that up. Oh, let me look that up. And before you know, we're at where we're going to be and you've been looking at your phone. And I'm listening to music or something. So I don't see it much in the car.
Okay.
Why? Have you consciously been making more of an effort?
I have been, but
okay. Clearly, I've missed it then.
Well, and I'm glad, I'm not glad that you've missed it, but I'm glad that we're having this conversation, because I think this highlights actually something I see a lot in coaching, is that one person can be making more of an effort, but because of some of the other nuances of the circumstances, it's not received. Or it's not, there isn't an awareness of it. I won't say it's not received, because like if I do put my hands on you, it's not like you're like batting my hand away, but because you see the phone and not their phone is still present, and so you don't register the touch as much. So it was just curiosity thing. Yeah.
Lastly, number 1, emotional intimacy. Emotional intimacy. That is the final one. This is the one I think you and I have learned and developed the skill to be able to talk at any point, anytime. We could be just rolling down the street doing a walk and talk. We could be in a heated moment, and we can figure out how to navigate ourselves. We can get, and I know this year there were some arguments this year. There were some really like intense, like, wow, we were going at it, and being able to regulate and being able to go, okay, it's not you that I'm fighting. There is a problem that needs to be addressed. This isn't about you. This isn't about anything like that, but there is a problem and it needs to be addressed. And how do I convey, even in that time of conflict where I have felt slighted or hurt, and us being able to come back around to that and go, okay, I hear you. Now, it doesn't mean everything's okay and good in that moment.
No.
And we have to still navigate that and repair and rebuild some things and hone in on going, okay, like, where do we need to strengthen this pillar again? Like, where did the breakdown happen that we got to that point? But I think we've done it very well with everything that we have gone through in the last 16 months since we left California. And I think if I look over it, it's really minor. But it's interesting how, like, some of the negative stuff, the big things, they stick with you and you forget all the good stuff. And I think I really want to hone in on that, is how often we as humans can sit on the negative things that our spouse has done, and it's something they did 6 months ago, and since then they've done only loving actions, words, and we can still sit on that one thing. And it's not something that we're immune to either, because it happens here as well. But at the same time, I'm like, well, we do have that ability to just be on the same page with our emotional intimacy and have long discussions and be able to work through our disagreements. What I see, what you see, and I find it as we get older. Nice smirk.
I'm just curious as to where you're going with
as
that.
We get older, we tend to get a little more in our ways. We get more in like, this is it. And I know I do it more. And I love the grace that you give me to be able to go, okay, Tony, but then be able to push back a little bit and correct me when I get a little too in my way.
You're going to be fun as an old man. I'm just saying it right now. I'm just saying it right now. And this has been an eye-opening conversation for the two of us. This is an episode that we that we actually just said, hey, we're not going to write down any of our notes or thoughts. We're just going to riff on it as we go through each one of the pillars. And I think, to Tony's credit, really stepping into this place of, hey, where's our strength?
Yes.
Right. And that's one of those things too, where if you can identify where you're strong, then you actually get to take that strength and apply it to those pillars that maybe in 2025 this year weren't where you wanted them to be. And you go, wait, we've got skills in this area. How do we take it to another pillar? How do we just mold it, maybe adapt it from financial to sexual or from recreational to physical? What can we do from a place of strength and not from a place of, oh my gosh, we're trying to fix and we stink and all of this kind of stuff? Going from a place of strength really does make a difference.
Yeah. And if you want to find out what is your strongest pillar of intimacy, you can take our 6 Pillars of Intimacy quiz at oneextraordinarymarriage.com/quiz. I'll put that here in the episode notes for you as well. But I would take that, each of you, so you can find out what's your strongest pillar and then do your own 654-321 and start the new year. You guys, it's been an honor and a blessing to, another year of the of the One Extraordinary Marriage Show. And it baffles my mind to this day that we're going to enter into our 16th year. And really right now, what I think Elise and I would love for you to know is that we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Mm-hmm. For you to be able to listen, to send in your hugs, to share your successes and your breakthroughs, and also those tough times when you need prayer and need to be uplifted. It's awesome. But for you this week, go do your own 654-321. Look at your 6 pillars of intimacy. Have a conversation. What was it that you see strong? What did you guys do well? And as happened even for Elise and I, we find out where we sort of just didn't meet where I think one of us or both of us wanted to be. But it's okay, because we can step into the new year. We can step into this next month and go, this is what we're going to start doing differently, because we know what our strongest pillar is. We can find out what our weakest one is, and we can begin to be intentional and take action. You guys, it's truly an honor and a blessing to be with you each and every week. We'll see you next week. Love you guys. Thank you for listening to the One Extraordinary Marriage Show. If you love this podcast, please leave a review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you are listening. Your review helps others find the show and know that it's the right fit for them and their marriage.